Good evening. We don't have the fancy intro this week, everybody, because we've got some other stuff in store. So welcome to Surf at the Bar. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm going to set the mood tonight with just a little clip that shows you the kind of lifestyle that our guest this evening lives. And so it's just about a minute and a half. It'll give you a flavour of what's to come. And then Mr. Alex Gray and myself will be coming back on for tonight's talk story. So enjoy the clip. So what do you think? Is that a cool to spend New Year's Eve? Because that's what Alex Gray did on December 31st, 2012. Coming up, Alex Gray. Take a seat. I can actually think of better things to do than that. How about you? I think I'd butt out of that one in a heartbeat. But what's it like to have that life?
Yeah, well, whoa, hey. It's so hot right now. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. And first of all, to Volcom, great job today. Incredible day at Pipeline for the first day of the Volcom Pipe Pro. Damn. Thank God everybody's in one piece. Looking forward to a bigger day tomorrow. And yeah, that was a great way to start the new year. Paddling Jaws, I think, is now the frontier of big wave surfing. I was just talking to Buzzy, and I think that we've kind of only cracked the ice. It's going to get real very quick. Incredible things have happened there, but that wave gets bigger than any of us can imagine, and I would never go there without a safety crew. There's a Skull Base safety crew there that we literally have a jet ski that looks after every guy. When you go down there, it's real and serious, and everybody wants to go home to their family and friends, so along with that and the new flotation devices, it's allowed us to paddle waves like Jaws that somebody like Buzzy pioneered towing back in the day. And yeah, it's really fun to be a part of.
We're talking about Buzzy Kerbox, who we'd like to welcome this evening as well.
Yeah,
and
Buzzy.
Please give him a round of applause. Thanks for coming, Buzzy. Buzzy, apart from being a very successful lifelong Polo Ralph Lauren model, and I'm not exaggerating, he was also one of the top surfers in the world when professional surfing first got formed in the 70s, and is absolutely ageless and timeless because he went on from there to help Laird Hamilton get his tow-in strapped deal going on at Jaws, and was a pioneer of towing in at Jaws, and can also paddle into Jaws pretty good too, I bet you.
Well, I'm actually a Ralph Lauren model in my dreams too. Fuzzy, thanks. I don't have the body of a Greek god, but I can live vicariously through you, so thank you.
Well, this is more your gig up here, the Volcom House. Can you tell us what it's like? It's home base this week for the Volcom Pipe Pro. It's going to be huge tomorrow, by the way, if you're staying here at the hotel. It's going to be an amazing day at Pipeline, so check it out. But this is home base. What is it like? Everybody always wonders what really goes on behind those walls at the Volcom House. Can you tell us?
What happens at the Volcom House stays at the Volcom House. We all know that. No, I'm from California, Los Angeles, and to be able to come over to the North Shore, the mecca of surfing, the 7 Mile Miracle, we've all heard the different sayings for it. But to be here at the Jerry House, Volcom bought it a few years ago, but we still look at it as Jerry Lopez's house because that is the foundation of Pipeline. Thank you, Jerry, if you're out there. It's incredible. I get to live on the second story, and my bed faces into the barrel of Pipeline. So it's pretty incredible when you wake up in the morning, you're like, how's the waves? And literally don't have to lift your head off the pillow and open your eyes. You're like, oh my God, it's perfect. I'm out there. Oh my God, it sucks. I'm going back to bed. And, I pinch myself every morning that I get to call that my job. Volcom's like, hey, did you surf today? I'm like, yeah, I surfed a couple times. They're all, high five, great job. Can you do that again for the rest of your life, hopefully? I think I can do that.
This is the view from your room, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's literally it. And Volcom bought both of the houses adjacent to the Pipeline walkway. There's the original Volcom house, which is the one-story house that has the infamous dungeon below, which is where I started at 15 years old. Scared shitless, for better words. Sorry to the public out there. And then finally worked my way along the way to the Jerry house. And for me, growing up, that's my dream come true, to live on the beach in Hawaii at the greatest wave in the world, Pipeline, and have somebody like Volcom supporting the whole thing. It really is a dream come true, and I can't thank them enough.
Well, I think one of the things I like the most about you, Alex, is that you get it. There are some spoiled brats out there in pro surfing land who, a perfect day is not perfect enough, but you've always got a smile on, and I think you really get what you've got. It's a pretty cool gift.
Yeah, my nightmare is working in a cubicle 9 to 5. So if you're talking about I get it, like that is the last place that I want to be, because at 10 years old, I found a sport called surfing. And my brother and his friends were out in the lineup, and they came home one day, and they're like, we're surfers. And up until then, we were skateboarders, and we were football players and basketball, and it was whatever he was doing, I was following him and trying to beat him at it. That's what you do as a younger brother. And surfing came along, and it was pouring lemon in your hair and peroxide to get bleached hair, and then going to the beach and get tan, and then you're going to get all these chicks, and it was going to be awesome. Well, the first time I went surfing, my dad, who wasn't a professional surfer, had dabbled in it. He had this old board from the 70s that was like a big boogie board, basically, and it soaked up all the water, and I went down to the beach. My brother's friends went surfing, and I got into ankle-deep water and couldn't make it past the shore break. And I had, like, the worst nipple rash of my life. I didn't even know what that was at that time. I'm like, your nipples can get rash? So I was already skeptical of the sport. And then I couldn't make it past the shore break, and I was in tears, crying. I can't believe it. They're out there having the best time of their lives. Like, dolphins are jumping over them. They're, like, petting whales. Like, this is awesome. And I'm with my dad in the shore break with my nipples bleeding. But I think I got one wave that day, and it was that one wave that I stood up and rode into the sand and stepped off, and it was the best feeling that I'd ever had in my life. And pretty sure I told my parents, like, hey, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And from that moment on, thank you to my parents for supporting me, saying, hey, I want to surf for a living, because all the other parents are like, yeah, that's the worst idea we've ever heard. You're going to be a surfer? Like, good luck, buddy. Like, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Watch the movie.
Well, it is pretty amazing when you know what the background of your parents are. They weren't hippie surfers in a combi van like I think mine might have been.
That sounds awesome. I want to meet your parents if they're still around.
Your dad's a judge. I think your grandfather's a judge. Your
Yep.
mother's a speech therapist. These are pretty happening professional people. And exactly how do they react when the kids come home and go, we're surfers?
Yeah, like I said, kids grow up with a dream, right? We all do. We all grow up and we want to be something or somebody, whatever it is. And I've been so lucky to have great parents who supported it. And I think there's people who are more talented out there than I was, and they just weren't lucky enough to have the love and support of their parents. And it does go very, very long ways. And from that moment that I came home and my mom put Band-Aids on my nipples, she's like, this is it. Okay. You want to be a surfer? We can do this. I'll buy Band-Aids every week. And I was like, Mom, you're the best. Can I get some wax too? Cold water, please.
How instrumental was your brother? Was he a competitive athlete like yourself? Because I know you kind of went down the road of professional surfing. Now you can be a little bit more selective. But how influential was your brother in your path?
Yeah, it was really funny because he started doing contests and started getting sponsored, meaning like he got to put stickers on his board and got free T-shirts and shoes, and I was like, what? You get to get free stuff? Like, that's awesome. Can I have a sticker, please? And I was like 10 years old. I'm like, I'm too young to do contests. I don't know, it was this thing. I was like, I'm too young to do I was scared, I guess, or something. And I'd go down and watch him and root him on. And, I was on him like white on rice, And so it was really cool. That's what he was the one who introduced me to surfing. And finally, around like, I think 11 years old, I started doing local contests. And I got a message on the machine from Volcom at 12 saying, hey, this is Volcom, and we'd like you to put a sticker on your board if you would like to wear a free T-shirt. And I'm like, Mom, play it again, play it again, play it again. Is it saved? Is it saved? Call everybody, bring them over. I get free stuff. And that's how it started for our family. It was more of like, we loved going to the beach, and it was the lifestyle. And then along came, this cool, fun lifestyle. And I couldn't get enough of it. I went to school, and high school came around, and I got to start traveling. I came to Hawaii at 13 years old and went to my school teachers, and I said, hey, I'm leaving. It was Thanksgiving weekend, so you get Friday and Monday off. So I got to go to Hawaii for 4 days. And I was like, can I please get the schoolwork? And like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to Hawaii to go surfing. And they're like, but what are you doing? Going to Hawaii to go surfing. And they just looked at me and were like, shake their head like, well, okay, I guess. And a lot of them just wrote it off. And they wouldn't give me the work when I was gone, and it ended up being really difficult. And I always focused in school. That was my thing with my parents. It was like, hey, get good grades, focus in school, surf before and after, and it's going to be fine. And, I literally had one teacher come up to me in high school and say, hey, you don't have a future. Like, I know that you're into this surfing thing, but you literally don't have a future. Maybe you should try baseball, or maybe you should try football. Like, you're going to make it in those sports, but you need to change what you're doing right now. And I was so pissed off. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I prove you wrong. And, I ended up getting MVP of the year with a football and a baseball player, and then they threw a surfer in there. When I graduated high school, and that was like my big hooray. I was so stoked. I was like, you know what? Up yours, teacher. Like, a surfer made it. Take that. And literally from the moment I graduated, I jumped on the World Qualifying Series, and ever since then, I've been living out of a suitcase, traveling 10 months out of the year on a sponsor's dime, getting to see the world during those textbooks that I was being taught about when I was in high school. So, when you say that I get it, it's the way that I was raised. I had great parents and friends and mentors and people to prove wrong, and I love that.
Well, I think the first time I came across you, funny enough, even though I've worked in the surf industry for a long time, was not seeing you in a photograph surfing or anything. Was actually during the Triple Crown, we host the Surfer Apollo Awards right here in the hotel. And it'd been a long day. I was watching it vicariously through the internet at home. And a voice came on, and it just sounded so clear and so coherent that it got my attention from the rabble. And I sat and watched this guy on the screen accepting an award, and it was the very first award of the night. And I was like, who is that guy? He speaks so well, and it was a very moving situation because you had pretty recently lost your brother who had introduced you to surfing, and you made a great speech about him on the stage that night. And I have to tell you, because I never did, I felt like the whole night went downhill after that because you just nailed it. So, you know, that night for you to get up there and accept an award and do it in his name meant what?
Oh, the entire world to me, yeah. So going back to the beginning of the story for my life, a random occurrence happened, and when I was my senior year, I was 17 years old. And like I said, my brother introduced me to surfing as a person that I admired, honored. He was Superman. And he came to my mom and I and said, hey, I have a problem. You know, I'm addicted to heroin. And up until then, I didn't even know what that was. For me, it was like a thing in the movies. And my parents either. I mean, I grew up in a really nice area where, you know, drugs and violence aren't really prevalent. And it's a fairy tale, really. And so this hit home hard. It was like, well, okay, so what do we do? And we got him in the programs. We got him in sober living. He was doing great. He was sober for 6 months. And it was our last surf team dinner. The high school I went to had a surf team, and we got to get credits for it. So in the morning we went surfing and got to call that part of school. I still laugh about that. I'd like to go back to that, actually. God, that was fun. And it was our last dinner. I was the captain of the team, and I got to make a speech to all my friends, and it was our last big hurrah, basically before we were all going to split up and move into manhood, I guess, when you graduate high school. And we got home that night and got a phone call from a friend that my brother was unconscious in the bathroom. He had no heartbeat. The ambulance was there, and my parents needed to go to the hospital. And they left me at the house and went down there. And I will remember this moment the rest of my life. I was home for an hour and just sitting there going, you know, please call and give me good news. You know, there's no way that this is turning out bad. You know, he was a good kid, a good student, a smart person, a nice guy. You know, and when you're young, you put labels on people, and people who die of drugs to me were bad people. It wasn't someone like my brother, I guess you'd say. And I've grown on from that, but at that moment I was like, there's no way, he's Superman. And unfortunately, the call came in, and you know, I had my mom in hysterics. I could barely understand her. She was bawling her just, you know, and she called and said, hey, your brother didn't make it. You need to come down now. And went down to the local hospital where I was born, and he was born, and opened a door in this little like 5x5 room, and there's my parents on their hands and knees in hysterics, basically just screaming. They had no words, and my brother 5 feet away in a room was gone. And it's, you know, to this day, it's the moment that has shaped my life. For the next 2 or 3 months, there was a dark cloud over our family, and I didn't know what depression was, but now I realize like we were living it and didn't know what to do. I tried to go surfing during the time, and went down to the local beach, the same place where me and my bloody nipples were. And I got out in the water, and it was like 5 minutes of surfing. And I came in, and I'm like, this is it. I went home, I threw my surfboard in the trash can, and was like, I can't do this. This is the one thing I shared, and it's what I love the most, but it hurt. And I'm like, I'm over it. It's done. And that was it. I kind of didn't go to school for 2 months. I just wanted to hide and be in my bed and not talk to anyone. And, you know, it was just my parents who were lost, and they're the foundation. And we had an event when I was a kid you go up through this thing called the NSSA, which in America is your amateur foundation, and from there is what moves you on to professional surfing. And I was involved with that heavily, one of the top-rated California surfers, and had completely neglected it for a few months. And finally an event came around, and my parents were like, hey, we need to get out of town and go, and let's go to the contest, and let's just get out of town. And I hadn't surfed for like 3 months. And I just said, okay, you're right. We need to go. You know, it sucked. It sucked to be home. So we went down, and that's my second family. Even though none of us grew up together, we all spent every single weekend, every year doing these contests. And we got down there, and, everybody was really just loving and caring and gave us really nice kind of support. It was really cool. And as I went to paddle out for my heat, I went to put the jersey on, and something, I still don't know to this day what it is, but something came over me, and it was like, what would your brother, what would Chris want you to do right now? If he was here, I'm sitting there waxing my board, and I'm just confused, and I sat there, I'm like, God, my brother would want me to go out and kick everyone's ass and win this event and continue what he gave me as the greatest gift of my life, which is surfing. And it's like this light bulb went off, and I got to go out and enjoy surfing. That, putting a jersey on and going to the contest that day with my family, and those are my friends, and I ended up winning the event. And from that moment on, I realized that even though he's not here anymore physically, I take him with me everywhere, and that for me was my saving grace. And to this day, and that award that I accepted, which was the Barrel of the Year last year for the Surfer Poll, I just dedicate and honor everything to him, because I would not have this life at all without him. And it's been a positive thing in my life. Literally the worst thing that's ever happened has been able to become a positive, and I miss him every single day. There's not a day that I wake up and just go, God, I wish he'd walk through the door. But I've realized it's a reality, and I'm not the only one out there. And I've met some amazing people along the way through it, and through this just kind of tragic experience, there is light, and it's cool, and I'm comfortable talking about it now. It took a long time for me not to cry talking about it, so I enjoy sharing it, and I enjoy really what he continues to do for me and my family and friends. So yeah, that's where that speech comes from. Thanks.
And thank you. If you left a door donation, a suggested door donation this evening, it actually goes to the Christopher Gray Foundation, which supports some educational programs and things. So on your way out, if by chance you feel motivated and you didn't do it on the way in, the box is still there. So that's where it goes tonight.
Cool. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So what about this? This is actually a slow motion sequence that you're going to see just rolling through behind us here. But unbelievable. This is Chopu. Can you believe this is you? I mean, no offense, but you're not the biggest guy on the planet. Like, how do you do this?
Hey, look, dynamite comes in small packages, Jodi. Okay? Yeah, you know it. I like your shirt, by the way. Seriously, let's trade. This was during the Code Red swell, which has become the Code Red swell, because in Tahiti, when a swell becomes so big, they have to close the harbor, which the infamous Chopu sits directly outside of. They call it Code Red, meaning nobody is allowed to leave the harbor. It's too dangerous to actually even get in the water, according to the government in Tahiti. This happened smack dab in the middle of the Billabong Pro World Tour contest. And the way it worked for me is we saw what we call purple blobs. For me, I try to be a weather forecaster, and just as weathermen watch, forecasts come in, we watch the winds off of those. The winds are what generates these big waves. And I won't buy a ticket to go anywhere around the world until basically 2 days before, because you're guaranteed that is a true definition of what's going to happen. So I think this was on Friday. Wednesday night, I called my good friend Dave Wassel, local North Shore native, and who's been here many times before and knows everything about all this stuff. And I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about going. What do you think? And he's like, it's going to be huge. So if you want it, go for it, buddy. Bring a tow board because you're definitely not going to be able to paddle. So luckily I hooked up with local legend Raymana Ben Bastolier, who is the man there. He's the legend. And he let me crash on the floor because his place was packed with all of the World Tour surfers there for the event. And there was a possibility that Friday was going to be too big to run. So I spent thousands of dollars, gambled my money again. Thank you, Volcom and all the sponsors. And said, Raymana, I'm coming. I'll sleep on the dirt. I'll sleep with your dogs, whatever it is. I'm in. Let's do this. And, okay, brother, come on. Thursday night, I show up, and I had a couple paddle boards, and Kelly was staying close by. Kelly Slater was staying close by. And he's like, what are you doing? You're getting one of your paddle boards ready? He's like, don't bother. Don't even bother. It's going to be so big tomorrow. Like, you got a tow board? And I'm all, yeah, I got it right here. He's like, just set that up. Trust me. We woke up at 4 in the morning, and there was water rushing up into the yards. The way Chopu works is it's a long reef, and there's a break in the reef, but all of these houses are set inside of it, and it's a big lagoon, and normally it's like peaceful, tranquil, take your newlywed to Tahiti and make a baby. This wasn't baby-making weather.
Code red.
This was, yeah. And it was on. You know, it was that dim light in the beginning, and people, you could just tell by the action inside the lagoon, you could surf into Raymana's house, basically. And I looked at him, I'm like, is it big? And he just didn't say anything. He's like, get in the boat, bring your life vest, bring your tow board, let's go. And so the day unfolded. Raymana caught the first wave of that morning. And it would be like Jerry Lopez surfing pipeline, like he doesn't fall. He surfs every wave perfect. He's the god, and you kiss his feet after, and you're like, can I do your laundry or something? Raymana took off on a wave, and I remember watching from the channel. The whole water dissipated, and it was dry, live coral. And the whole wave closed out, and he ran, there's nowhere to go. And he ran straight into it and just did cartwheels over it. And then his safety driver, is paralyzed from the waist down. It's a guy who was a great surfer but had an accident at Chopes on like a small day, hit the reef, lost the feeling in his legs. Raymana is such a good guy that he taught him all the jet ski knowledge that he knows to keep the guy active and in the water. Baptiste goes in, there's so much water moving. He goes in to get him. Jet ski flips. Now you have a guy who's paralyzed from the waist down, plus the legend, just in the worst situation, these waves landing on their heads. We're sitting in the boat. Makua Rothman is sitting there going, there's a jet ski guy, and he's going, give me your jet ski. He doesn't speak Tahitian. They're looking at him. He's like, give me your jet ski now. Jumps in the water, pushes these big Tahitian guys off, jumps on the jet ski, flies in, picks both of these guys up, and brings them out of safety. And that was at 6:25 in the morning. And so I was just sitting there like, is there a 7 o'clock flight out of here? Because seriously, that's what happened. And obviously the contest was off, and I believe history was made that day. And luckily, through amazing friends, I was able to catch, some of the most memorable waves of my lives. Nathan Fletcher probably caught the most historical wave ever. And I think there were just a few stitches kind of made that day. Everybody made it out alive, and yeah, seriously, just to get out of the boat and grab the rope that day and ride a wave was the scariest moment of my life, and I was really stoked to be a part of it.
When we wrap up the talk later, there's a clip that's kind of like a review of your year last year and all the swells you rode, and there's one, like a couple of seconds in there of you on the back of a jet ski in Tahiti looking pretty ill. So not every wave ended well, did it?
No, that's from a swell a month earlier, and that was the first time I had surfed big Tahiti, and we tried paddling it, and then around 3 p.m. came and got too big, and I just had a 6'3". I didn't have a tow board at that time, and Raymana whipped me into a wave, and I didn't make the wave, and what I didn't realize is, like, this wave here closed out. The reef at Chopu is like a macaroni shell. It's an elbow, basically, is the best way to describe it. And on the inside, the whole wave eats itself alive and closes out. But on the right direction, you can kick out before then. I got a wave that you couldn't kick out before then. And there's a spot on the reef that the jet ski can't come and grab you. It's like 6 inches deep, and then it keeps you in the same spot. And I had like 7 or 8 waves on the head and started puking. Like I was like, there were no I didn't have a life vest. I didn't have anything. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, really. So I was just in board shorts sitting in this on dry reef getting these waves on the head, and then finally Ramona came in and grabbed me, and yeah, there's a moment in that video where you see I'm just looking down, and I got up on the boat, and I puked some more and just didn't talk to anyone, and took a break for like an hour, and then ended up towing into just one of the best waves of my life later that night. And it's those moments surfing, especially big waves, where you get knocked down, and the best thing you can do is jump back on the saddle, because your bell's rung, you thought you were going to die, and that'll haunt you the rest of your life. You have to jump back on the saddle and get right back out there and huck yourself over the falls again. Otherwise, it's just going to play mind tricks with you, and you'll be like, I can never do this again. And, that's like today watching the Vulcan Pipe Pro, watching guys just throw themselves over the ledge on waves that, I don't want, people probably wouldn't do that, but it's like, it's on. They want it. And I have so much respect for everybody out there doing that. It's so badass to me.
I saw a picture. I love following a lot of you guys on Instagram because it's a world that I'll never see up close and personal from the water. So to see the pictures that you all post, and I saw a picture that Ian Walsh posted of his younger brother Sean, and it was one of the biggest waves I've ever seen. His brother paddling into this massive wave at Jaws, and I went to bed thinking about that wave, and I started thinking through all the sports that I could think of, and it's like, apart from maybe base jumping, I can't think of anything where you're in such a fluid environment and you're throwing yourself with gravity and just on a moment in time, because a wave is just that ripple coming through the ocean that you have to be sitting on that little tiny spot at the right place at the right time to even get on it. And it's like, it's such an amazing thought to think that you guys can fly around the world pinpointing these purple blobs and be there at the right place at the right time and go with gravity and get a ride like that. Where else can you do that but big wave riding?
Oh, thank you, Mom and Dad. Still don't know why you let me do this, but appreciate that. What gets me every time is that we're literally going against Mother Nature. I mean, you look at a photo like this, and you're literally moving against Mother Nature. And, thanks to forecasting and being able to read these swells, it's allowed everybody to do some pretty incredible things and be there at the right time. And that's what it is being at the right place at the right time. I mean, it's a life lesson with whatever business you're doing. And thankfully ours is surfing perfect waves. But yeah, it's fun, and you really never know. You can put thousands of dollars and time and energy into this thing and show up, and it could look like Lake Erie, and where is it? And it's Mother Nature just laughing at you. And then you can show up to a spot thinking that you're there for a good time, and this happens. Yeah. And it's like, oh God, what did I get myself into? So it's this constant, ebb and flow of just going with the flow. Yeah. And it's fun. And we're always doing it with really good people, and everybody looks after each other. If somebody goes down, everyone's looking, and it's like, it's a really cool camaraderie between each other. Everybody really is, you want to catch the best wave, and you wish you had that wave when somebody else gets it, but at the end of the day, you're making sure everybody gets home safe. And I think that's really cool to have in the sport.
What do you think about the fact that you guys at the top of your game, now the safety's come such a long way, and we see that you have these big vests that blow up and take you to the surface. And we had Greg Knoll here a couple of weeks ago, and he goes, geez, they got so much stuff now. They got leashes, they got wetsuits that blow up, and it's impossible to drown.
Yes, well, I'm pretty sure that Greg Knoll has balls that blow up. I think the difference now is we have vests that blow up, but his balls blow up, because he's totally right. I mean, if you think about it, these guys were riding, wooden, like 80-pound single wood surfboards. The stuff they did at Waimea is unbelievable. There were guys, Jose Angel, doing backflips. here's an 80-pound surfboard and a 50-foot wave. What can I do today? Screw it. I'll drop it and do a backflip into it. I've never thought about doing a backflip into that big of a wave, ever. I mean, I'm on a strap surfboard with a life vest there, so you always go back to the history, and it's always about respect for your elders, especially here in Hawaii, which has been a really cool kind of table of contents for me, I guess you'd say. And if it wasn't for those guys, we wouldn't be where we are now. So, thank God Greg Knowles pissed off at us, because he's right. Our balls have shrunk, Greg. I'm sorry. I guess the water's a little colder these days. I don't know. You tell me. Shrinkage, it happens.
Well, I think he really admires you guys is what he actually ended up saying that night. But, I mean, it really makes sense that if the technology is there and the, progression is there to use it. But do you think it gives people a false sense of security who may not be as good as you guys to get out there and do this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, look, all of us are going into this, and, we're physically and mentally training ourselves going into it. It's not like the olden days where you're parting your face off and then jumping into 50-foot Waimea, which is what those guys are doing. And they had a hell of a time doing it. Like, seriously, I take my hat off to you. I want to be like you. I want to be on you. But, now it's at a place where, you're not messing around. This really can. There is a serious chance. I mean, look at Sion Molosky. We lost Sion Molosky, who is and always will be the best big wave surfer ever. I mean, he was at the peak of his game. And you ask any guy to this day, who's the best big wave surfer in the world? Sion Molosky. And that hit home to everyone. And I'm pretty sure at that moment, Billabong came out with the V1 float suit. Patagonia has now come out with a new version of it. And there is not a guy in the lineup without one of those suits. Honestly, you're lacking some intelligence if you're not wearing one of those suits and have a jet ski looking after you every time you take off on a wave, because it's for real. And like I said, this is fun, but it's not worth. I mean, if we're gonna go doing this, and that's the way it's gonna be. But it's not worth putting yourself in a situation of not doing everything you can to come home safe. And all of us, that's kind of the brotherhood now. It's like let's do this. And
that's not it.
When you're speaking of flotation devices, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It comes in different colors. I'm sure at Turtle Bay you can buy it. If you tell them I sent you, you get half off. So yeah, in Hawaii, us natives call that a honu. It's not actually a turtle.
Well, you're here for the Vulcan Pipe Pro. And Pipeline, even though it may not be 50 feet, can pack a pretty mean punch at about 15 to 20. Is it scary? I mean, there are probably more deaths and more serious injuries at Pipeline than any other surf location on the planet. So how nervous do you really get? You know the place well, you ride it well, but is it nerve-wracking still?
Yeah, I mean, there were 2 days that Vulcan called right, and they called the contest off leading up to today, and multiple injuries. Flynn Novak got 5 staples to the head. He's one of the best surfers out there. And, Pipeline, 2 feet to 20 is a pretty famous saying. Any of those sizes, that reef is one of the most dangerous in the world. And you ask guys what they're most afraid about at Pipeline, and it's falling, because you never know what's going to happen. And there's a high percentage that you're going to have a date with that reef. And that kiss hurts. It is not sensual. Like, Barry Manilow isn't playing music down there. Oh, God.
What are your own goals for Vulcan, for the Pipe Pro? Because you haven't won a major world tour event or anything like that. So for you, is that a goal? Is that what you're in it for? Or is there something else for you in all that you do in surfing?
I mean, I'm so honored. Luckily, I'm not chasing the tour anymore, and Vulcan gave me a wild card into the event. And to me, Hawaii is, it's our Wimbledon, it's our Indy 500. Hawaii is the backbone of surfing, and this is the most important time of the year to me. To win the Vulcan Pipe Pro would be the greatest thing ever. But really, right now in my life, I'm just learning to enjoy it, enjoy the moment, and of course, get out there and give it your all. But I'm just so honored and grateful to be in the position where I'm at, and to be a part of that company, and to be a part of this event and live at the Jerry House. It's like sometimes you need to take a step back and look around and go, man, this is cool. And that's where I'm at now. This is the greatest life in the world. It's everything I've ever dreamed of, and it doesn't come without hard work and perseverance and time and energy. But to be a professional surfer is a hell of an awesome life. And again, I'm so thankful for it, and I can't wait. I hope it runs tomorrow. It's supposed to be huge, and to me, that's what I'm looking forward to. Surfing perfect pipeline with 3 guys out, because I'll sit here for 5 months when there's 70 to 100 guys out and sit out there for 5 hours and not catch a wave, right? Because it's all about a hierarchy, and there's a level of respect, and the boys are on it, and I'm fine with the scraps. But when you have 3 other guys out, you have the chance of catching the wave of your life. And if I don't win the event and catch the wave of my life, like, thanks, Volcom. That was a great day.
Well, you're only in your 20s now. You've obviously got a lot of great adventures ahead of you. But we know that there's only so far that you can do this. I mean, there comes a day where the lung capacity and the young guys yapping up your heels are going to be there for you too. So where's Alex Gray in 20, 30 years?
I want to be in Greg Knoll's shoes at the Billabong XXL 2012, dropping my pants and showing my ass to the entire crowd. That's where I would love to be.
Okay, so you might not know what that's all about. Sounds pretty scary, right?
No.
So Greg Knoll's the big wave guy, and they invite him to the XXL Billabong Big Wave Awards, and they had made a commemorative Greg Knoll board short, which in his words, sold for some preposterous amount of money they sold them for. And he goes, so, they invite me along to this big shindig to, I don't know, give some award away or something. They've sold my board short for all this money. And so I get up there and they ask me how I feel. And I had my wife paint those stripes of those board shorts on my backside. So that's what he did. This elderly man gets up on stage when they ask him what it's all about. And he shows them the board short print on his butt. So that's what he's talking about. Don't be offended.
Yeah, it was amazing. But no, yes, this is a short career. It's not a golf career. I mean, thankfully to somebody like Kelly Slater, who's now 40 and surfing better than he ever has, he has prolonged the surfing career, and we're lucky to have him in the sport. So, for me, I want to, when this is over, have something to give back. I really have been very, very lucky to have people give their knowledge and time and energy towards me. So I would love to be in a position where I'm able to give that to the next generation, because you can't do this on your own. Yeah. You do need help along the way, and I've been very privileged to have some amazing people there just, ushering me along. So yeah, that's something that I'd like to do when it is over.
Well, we're happy to have you here tonight. We wish you the best of luck. You're going to be out there tomorrow, I'm sure, at Pipeline. So if you feel like getting along and cheering for Alex Gray, please do. He's going to need it. It's going to be a big, scary day at Pipeline. We're going to finish with a clip that runs for a few minutes. It's a wrap-up of Alex's year last year. And then we got a little bit of music after that. But if you feel so inclined and you didn't already, please consider giving a little something at the door to the Christopher Gray Foundation.
Cool. Yeah, thank you guys for your time and coming up.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.